Hi, I'm Maddie Hockaday, also known as the Anne of this relationship.
And I'm Holly Constant, the Leslie.
We love Parks and Rec. We love behind the scenes.
And we love each other. This is literally the best Parks and Recreation rewatch show.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Intro.
And who's to say?
Yeah.
All right, you guys, do we have a treat for you today? It's been a minute since we talked about Beauty Pageant, which was it in this season? I think we're still...
It's season 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's season 2.
But it's been a minute because it was at the very beginning of the season. And we talked to the very special, talented, intelligent, educated April Eden, who plays Trish. And she also plays chair model lady in The Office, who Michael thinks that he's in love with, but has sadly passed away.
Did you hear the piano?
No, did they get on the piano?
Yeah, the piano's by the door, and so Cubby plays chords when he's looking at people out of the...
God.
Yeah. Hey. Hi, I love you. Can you not? Come here. Okay, they're coming here. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't know where we were in that.
I don't either.
Start that part again. She plays Trish.
Yeah.
And chair model lady in The Office.
Honestly, this is like the craziest intro that we've ever done. And look, that's how you know that it's real. So I might just leave that in. Who's to say? I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Okay. Regardless, okay. She played, we've got cats and dogs over here, you guys. So you guys get it.
Real life.
Real life.
It's real life.
Yeah. So also, I was gonna say she played something Shushevsky is what her name is as the chair model lady, which I think is really funny. And something I didn't mention was that I was gonna ask her if it was like interesting to be named the same name as a character in Parks and Rec because her name is April.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
But yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoy this conversation. We do go on a bit of a detour because I just think that her, her trajectory through her like career span is really interesting, and I think it's really important for lots of people to hear. And also, you learn a lot, and we talk a lot about science and NASA and the Griffith Observatory, which I think is super cool. I honestly think it was like a straight up 50-50, if not more, science talk / life talk than, Parks and Rec, which I don't mind at all. I think we talked a lot about Parks and Rec.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And then we also do talk about how she would like to make clear, and I don't even think it needs to be said, but she is not Trish. She is not that character. Mm-hmm. She was playing a role.
She does not hold the same beliefs. She does not have the same personality. Yeah. And I think, most of our listeners are to the point of understanding that they're not the same people.
Yeah.
But I think it was important to her for people to know that she does not have the same mindset that Trish does.
Yes.
I feel like I would be the same way.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I think she made a very valid point, and this will be the last thing I say about it, so you guys can just go ahead and listen to it and not listen to me babble. But I think that she made a good point. Like, everybody has their role to play, and we were trying to put across a message, and that's what she needed to play to make that message get across. So, I really appreciated talking to her, and I really did. I learned so much. I felt like we had a great conversation, and I do love the darkness. April was like nervous about making the podcast go dark, and we didn't go dark. I just feel like we went deep,
no.
and sometimes deep is dark, and sometimes it's not. So whatever, it was great.
It was great.
But yeah, okay. Well, so without further ado, unless Maddie, do you have anything else to say?
I just think keep in mind she's changed her path enough times, and I don't think it really matters how old you are. Like, if you're not happy where you are, there's something out there for you, and not to be afraid to switch it up.
Yeah,
because she wasn't, and I think she seems very happy.
Yeah, and also like listen to your gut, to your instinct, to your joy and your passion. Like, people can claim they know what they're doing and give you advice all they want, but they don't know either. They're just like, for the most part, they're just trying to help you, but sometimes that information or that advice isn't for you. So do what you need to do to pursue what you want and what you love, or at least what you like. So
right.
But anyway, well, thank you guys so much. If you have anything else that you want us to talk about, please let us know. And we will see you for the outro. And, that's it. So thank you, April.
Enjoy.
Yes, thank you, April Eden, so much. We love talking to you. It was amazing. So cool. And I'll post all her stuff in the show notes. But please enjoy April Eden.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Thank you so much again for being here. We so appreciate it. I'm so glad that we got in touch. I know that Facebook messages can sometimes get lost in the void, so I know that that's probably difficult, but I'm so glad.
You were very persistent. Yeah, so absolutely.
I'm not ashamed, but I'm also a little embarrassed.
No.
Oh no, it was very sweet. I'd seen a comment, I think actually on YouTube first.
Okay.
And then I think I saw one on Twitter maybe. And then I logged into an old Facebook that I haven't, the Fangirl Academy one. I don't log into that very often. I was like, I think that's that girl that messaged me on YouTube. I really should probably respond. She seems very sweet.
Good job, Holly.
So funny. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, I am nothing if not persistent, especially when I am a fan of someone or something. I'm like, I will find you. And if you don't message back, it's okay. But like, I also know that across platforms, it's so hard because sometimes people only check one. So it's just like, got to do my due diligence.
Yes, you do a great job.
Thank you. Well, so I'll get right into it. We wanted to talk to you, obviously, about Parks and Rec. But, I guess we can start at the kind of beginning with The Office, because that is where we first saw you, and where a lot of the fans would have recognized you. But so my first question anyway was like, did you have an audition for The Office, or was it more of like, send us a picture?
No, that was an audition. That was one of those auditions. If you spent time in LA, I'm sure you heard about these, where they just call people in and they line you up. And then I think it was BJ Novak and another gentleman, I can't recall his name. I think he was probably another director on it. They came in and they looked at us all standing in a line and they were like, we're going to use you. And I actually stayed and we did the photo shoot that day.
Wow.
They took me in the back and changed my clothes. And so...
Whoa!
That was it.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. So that's pretty much all you were like needed for that day, and then they just got all your information, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I was basically just an extra. I didn't know the part was going to be about the episode at the time was called The Parking Lot, which is like the B storyline in it.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh yeah, it's going to be like a magazine on a coffee table and they just need like a model in it. So I'm like, okay. And so, I mean, it was like higher rate than usual. So I went for it because normally auditioning for something, you're like, better be a little more than, regular. But I had no idea. And then the episode came out and my friends were like, April, that episode is like all about you. And I'm like, oh, is it? So I went and watched it with my mom and she was like, oh my God, they're dancing on your grave. I had no idea any of that.
Oh man.
I know, what a crazy change from the audition saying like this is just going to be like a one-off kind of like you're a picture for a blip in the second. And I think the episode is literally called Chair Model.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to complain, but I was not aware at the time. And ever since then, what's so funny is I will because I'm not that active on really many social media platforms. I do have the YouTube, unfortunately, that does correspond me with Trish. That's the only thing we have in common, though. We've both been on YouTube. That's it. Let's just set that up right here.
But you have very different vibes, which is great.
Yes. But people will find me every once in a while, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're alive? Dwight's looking for you." Or,
oh, that's awesome.
You're like, what reality do you live in?
Yeah,
is this real or not real?
Yeah.
Hey, I understand.
Right. Well, was this audition that you went in for, was it like you were going in thinking you were going to be an extra kind of thing, like through central casting almost, or was it through?
It was through central casting. Yeah, I thought it was like, it was just, I thought it was like a higher base, and I had done quite a bit of modeling before, and they're like, it's just, going to be in a magazine that they're looking through.
Wow. That is insane. No, I did a bit of central casting, obviously. I mean, for listeners who aren't familiar, central casting is the big extra casting. There's a bunch. And I had a bunch of friends who had like calling services because you've got to call every day or, the day before to see if you can book something. And really you just stand in line. Like I knew people in that line when I went early, obviously, because I researched and everything. But like when I went, people... first of all, it's a line out the door, but then I heard people say that like they had literally just gotten off the bus or the plane or wherever, and they just came to line up to be an extra. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Because I didn't really think about it that way. I was just like, this is a great way to make some extra money, but also like be on set and get some experience kind of thing. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to get started. You know, if you're out there and wanting to, you know, be in films or TV, to be aware of the environment that you're going to be on, you know, because learning the lines and acting and everything, that's like an art and a craft. It's a little overwhelming if you're on set for the first time with like 100 people holding lights and bringing things. It's nice to have an experience where you can like be used to it, but not have pressure on you. So it's a great way to get started.
Totally. And it also, I think, makes you respect a lot of the crew and a lot of the people that are working in general, just like because there's so many moving parts on a set. And if you don't have the knowledge of what everyone is doing, you don't really have that compassion for everyone else's job, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know to throw away your own trash and just the nice things to do.
Exactly. So true. So true. Yeah. Well, so how long, I guess I should know this, but how long after The Office aired did you get the audition for Parks and Rec, if you remember?
It wasn't long. I think both of those episodes were fairly early on in both of the series.
They were.
I honestly don't even remember which one came out first. I'm guessing The Office, but there was actually some conflict about whether or not I could do Parks and Rec if that's the one that came second, or The Office if that came second, because they didn't know if they wanted a character, you know, because it was pretty big in The Office. So they weren't sure if they wanted to transfer a character. And I was kind of nervous the night before because they were like, well, you know, we didn't realize that was you and we got to make sure it's okay. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. So I'm very glad that I was able to.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I don't feel like many people would recognize you just because you both have such different characters, such different looks and everything, which is a testament to you, really. So I feel like you don't know it until you like do the research, or you're crazy like us that are.
I was about to say the ones of us that have watched everything a million times were the ones that are like, that's cheer model lady.
Yeah. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I can understand the like loving something so much that you like recognize. Like, I think I know the voice. They were wearing another nose, but I know the voice.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Well, so what was the Parks audition like? Like, did you have to do something much, like obviously that one wasn't through Central Casting, I'm guessing.
No. Yeah, that one was through my agent. And that was just, you know, the lovely speech. I say that very sarcastically. I don't know if that will transfer in the podcast.
Oh, we get it.
The actually quite appalling speech that I gave, that was the audition. And and, you know, they said, you know, do some research about, you know, different, you know, pageant answers that haven't gone so well in the past and things like that. So I did. And I basically just kind of went in and did my best to sound like an idiot.
Well, nailed it.
And I guess I did a good job.
Totally. Well, did you have like an idea of what you wanted your voice to kind of sound like and everything? Because definitely there was a character involved.
Yeah, I mean, just from, you know, I did do pageants here and there when I was, you know, in high school and things. So it's just a general kind of hyper-ish. But yes, there was. I don't want to like name names or anything because I don't want to draw attention to anyone, but there was definitely some research done.
Oh yeah, I mean, we named names in the Beauty Pageant episode that we did because like I mean, in particular, I actually don't remember their actual names, but in particular, when we were doing the research for the Park Pals episode of Beauty Pageant, the producer Mike Schur, obviously, was like everything that Trish is was based on real things, real speeches, real pageants, real you know, contests, if you will. So there were some people that I didn't even realize that, you know, had said certain things, and then that was based off of you know, reality, which of course it is. When you look at it, you're like,
like the best thing that I can think of as far as like why it comes out that way, like in real pageants and for Trish, is like usually for pageants, you put a lot of prep work into like, how are you going to answer if they ask you this? How are you going to answer if they ask you that? Yeah. And the only thing I can think of is like, you know, these ladies had like, I hope they ask me about this. I'm really ready to answer this. So when they do get asked another question that's like out in left field, they just revert to like an autopilot of fragments of research and then terror.
Yeah. Yeah, and just kind of piecing words together that might not make sense or sentences together that are like, I think that generally covers it, maybe, question mark.
It's a terrifying environment doing beauty pageants and stuff to be up there. And like, you know, if you have to like talk and open your mouth and stuff after spending the whole day wearing a swimsuit and standing in front of people, you know, it's a lot of like mental readjusting. So I do have some sympathy, but not for Trish.
Well, speaking of that, I'm actually so glad that they've kind of done away with the swimsuit contest. I don't know that was like really worth it or any like sustenance at all.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that too.
Yeah,
agreed.
Well, so you kind of touched on this a tiny bit, but so the people in the audition room for Trish didn't know you at all, or didn't know that you had worked on The Office at all, or how'd that go?
Not really.
Oh,
no,
wow.
I've actually only been recognized like I think once, maybe twice at all for like Trish or The Office, like by just strangers and stuff. And both times it was in LA with like other actors who like watched the thing like, oh, I recognize your voice. It's always the voice. This high, really, I try to tone it down, but
that's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, I was going to ask that if people kind of like recognized or knew your face at any point, but it does sound like the voice might be, especially if you're like doing that character, you know what I mean?
Yep, that's my giveaway.
It's great, though.
Well, thank you. It's nothing like what I thought I was going to do when I went out to LA. I wanted to be on Star Trek. I want to be like a serious sci-fi actor who plays like a scientist or something. I didn't realize how I come across to people.
Oh my God.
So I discovered that very quickly. I took like business acting classes, and my teacher, his name is Ted Bernetti. I'm not sure. I think he's in New York now, but he told you, make a list of 3 roles that you think you would play, and then ask 3 people who know you what role they think you should play, just out of the blue. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, captain on Star Trek, and they were like, someone on 90210. And I'm like, this isn't matching.
You're like, that's the opposite of my desire. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, that's like a whole branding thing now. I actually just did a branding workshop, which was wonderful. But same situation where it's like you write down 3, you know, characters that you want, and then kind of like come up with a tagline / like figure out how you might want to get to that goal. But that's fascinating. So when you moved to LA, were you already like kind of well versed in like the scientific aspects of things, or were you more so just a fan of Star Trek, or both?
I was just a fan of Star Trek. I didn't realize that I liked science until I started going to Griffith Observatory. They have like lectures and people and guests coming in, and they started talking about things. And I was like, oh, I recognize that from Star Trek. That sounds familiar. And then I was like, I actually really like this, maybe even more. And there's an episode of, or a movie of Star Trek, the one with the whales. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's like a lady, she's a museum guide at a whale museum.
Okay.
And I was like, that's the coolest job. Oh my gosh. And like, I was like, well, I could try to play it on TV and no one would believe me, or I could just study something and learn about it and actually do it in real life.
Yeah. That's so cool.
It was after I moved there. It was actually after the acting. It wasn't until I kind of started stepping aside from acting that I even, you know, had time to pursue studying science and astronomy and things like that. So It was kind of a trade-off, actually, for stepping away a little bit from acting.
So you said you led tours at Griffith as well?
I did, yeah. I did a museum guide there for a little while, and I do virtual work sometimes. We had a lot of things going on trying to adapt our school program to virtual online with COVID, because we would have kids come up, 5th graders, and give tours and everything, and we couldn't do that anymore. So I got to help convert the program to being virtual and take the kids through online and stuff.
That's so cool.
It was really nice. It's a wonderful part of my life that I don't regret one single bit leaving acting for.
Yeah. But Will, what do you mean by studying? Did you go to like school for this, or did you just take a few classes? Like, what kind of stuff did you do?
I mostly just the observatory's lectures that they have.
Got it.
Yeah, they have lectures and speakers come in. I joined a bunch of societies, like there's Planetary Society, Los Angeles Astronomical Society, you know, there's there's like all these different societies that you can join, and they have events. So like I actually got to go and see the landing of one of Curiosity on Mars, and Bill Nye was there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much better.
My childhood.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. Did you get to talk to him or meet him or anything?
I did. Yes, I did get to talk to him. Yes, he's a very nice guy. He remembered my name. I was very, yes, it was nice. I met him once and then I saw him again a couple days later and he remembered my name.
Oh my God, what a guy.
Yeah. Party pants.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to be in an episode or something of Star Trek, right? Something happened with it.
Something happened.
I don't know if that's a good way to phrase it. I'm sorry.
No. I was involved somewhat in a couple of the movies. The first J.J. Abrams movie, again with the central casting, it was an untitled sci-fi film because they didn't want to put out that it was Star Trek. So it was untitled sci-fi. But someone told me, I have the insiders, they told me. And so I went and stood in one of those lines. I stood in line and I had already done The Office and Parks and Rec by then. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to be on Star Trek.
Totally.
So I went and stood in line.
I'll do this any way I can.
Yes, because I wasn't getting an audition for it. So I'm like, I'm just going to go be an extra. And so I was able to be on set for like a couple of weeks and it was wonderful. I was in a couple of the different scenes. They interviewed me in like the behind the scenes thing and special features and stuff. And then the next movie came out and I got to be like all painted green. And so I had a little bit of a scene with Captain Kirk walking towards me and, doing like the little Star Trek, like, ooh.
Oh my God. Wait, what's the one that it's called that you were in? Because I have to go watch it immediately now. Because I've seen them, but I don't remember all of the names.
I don't know if you'll see me. It's the Into Darkness, I think. Or no, it was just Star Trek. I think JJ's first one was just called Star Trek. Okay. And there's like a scene in a bar where Kirk is getting his butt kicked. Yes. And I'm like in the audience, like terrified, like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then the other one where I'm green, you'd have to get it on DVD because the scene got cut and I'm just in the extras.
That's okay.
So.
I can't tell you, Maddie can attest to this, how many times. Well, okay, it's not been that many times, but I make it a point every time that a scene is cut where, an extra or like a person with a couple lines was in it. I have the DVDs, obviously, of Parks and Rec. And so I do all the deleted scenes and stuff. And when I see, actors get their scenes cut, I like record the scene and I take a picture and I'm like, this girl / man / whoever was cut, but they did their part and they got credit. So I am playing this for all the world to see because I know how tragic that can be.
I'm sure they appreciate it.
Yes, I know. I have yet to find any of the people that I've recorded. But eventually, you know me, I'll get to them somehow, maybe.
Yes. But it happens, for as many times as that happened, then there's also the times like The Office where I think I'm just in a magazine and they name the episode after me. So, it evens out. It's fine.
Oh, man.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if being in Star Trek was everything you had imagined when you got there, because I know it was like a dream.
It was. I fangirled out pretty bad. I tried to compose myself, but it was really neat. It was Christmas every day. It was wonderful. Yeah. And the people there were so nice and cared about doing a good job. And it was a very nice place to be. I appreciated that experience.
That's good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Was that in LA as well, I'm guessing? Then?
It was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And to have more than like one day on it is, oh my God. Magical.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed the experience. Which actually, speaking of, I forgot about this till just now. Speaking of things that you get cut and get changed.
Yeah.
You all are very familiar with Parks and Rec. So Sweetums?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweetums.
Yeah.
The lady who married, she was the other pageant. That was supposed to be me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I got a phone call saying like, hey, they're bringing you back in. It looks like you're going to be in like a few episodes. And I went and got fitted and I sat in at the table read playing her. Everybody was there. Amy was there, the whole cast. There was a lot of people in the room. And I was waiting for my call to find out because I was like, it's like 7:00 at night. I don't know when I'm supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And my agent was like, oh yeah. So they felt like they needed to recast. So, but they did me back for April's birthday party. I had a small scene where they brought me back, but you bounce back from that. Was
April's birthday party, but
April Woodgate's birthday party. It was like her 21st birthday. There's like a party, and
yes.
The Snake Hole Lounge. Yeah. And it's the whole "you're so funny" lines again with me and Tom. It's just for like a minute. It was just a minute. So at least they brought me back.
I love that. So, okay. So this was after you were already Trish. They were going to help. They were going to have you be, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was going to be like Mr. Sweetums married the beauty pageant lady or Trish. Yeah. But they were a little concerned, like, because the age difference was quite extreme. They wanted it to be an age difference, but not quite that extreme.
Got it.
So that, which, that's fine if that's going to be the reason. Okay.
Sure. That is so wild. Who'd have thunk it? And especially like if you sat in at the table read. But that's the thing like with it is that it can change at the drop of a hat. But you know what?
It can.
We appreciate Trish.
Yes.
I appreciate Trish as well. I appreciate what Amy Poehler was trying to convey and represent with that character. Somebody's got to play that part, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to ask too. In part of my research, I was wondering kind of like when you accepted the role or even when you were reading for it, really kind of like how you were thinking about portraying this role as Trish and like what your thoughts were about being this character, not only like maybe, as a woman portraying someone that's not feminist or for the rights of women, really. But it also seems like it's more so that she's uneducated, you know what I mean? Or others, sure. But yeah, I was just going to ask kind of what your thoughts were on that. And you don't have to answer that if it's too political or whatever.
That's a wonderful question. I have a lot of respect for a lot of beauty pageant, participants who use the platform as a means to spread, let's help feed the children. Let's be nice to each other, those sort of messages. Sure. So I do respect the platform for what it can convey in the right hands. But I also recognize what Amy Poehler was trying to get across in that episode. She was trying to get across like the opposite side of that. Yeah. So I did feel I needed to hype that up a little bit, just be like, okay, so I do see this there. I'm just going to turn it up a few notches and it seemed to work.
Yeah. Totally. You're right, though. I completely agree with, someone has to play that role kind of to show the actions that we could take or how we can kind of go forward. So I love that. Do you have any other memories of being on set, whether that's with Amy Poehler or I know that you interacted a little tiny bit with Tom?
Just a bit. Yeah. Hey, give me his house key. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's right.
Yeah. There were more interactions with Tom.
Whatever.
Yes, it was actually me who robbed his house, but
I've been robbed twice.
I did. It was some of it was improvised. I did watch listen to a couple of your podcasts, and I know you guys like to know like what was improvised and what was scripted and all that. I'll say the line about me enjoying being at the beach in a bikini was all improvised. I will not blame them for that.
Wow.
So, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, because I had done all the lines, and BJ Novak came up to me and he said, "So we want to do this scene where Amy and Tom are talking, but you need to be talking as well. So they're like talking while you're talking, but you don't have any lines left. So just say things you think she might say." Yeah, and I was very nervous. I was very new to LA at the time, and I was like, "Just say things I think she would say." Okay.
You're like, I didn't prepare for this.
No. So I gave it my best shot.
Yeah, you did great. Yeah. No, that's so funny. And it's so wild. I've, talking to so many of the actors that have been on the show, they're always like a little bit surprised or just, excited kind of about what makes it in the show. Because a lot of times those fun run, takes don't get in the show, obviously, because there's not enough time. But that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was a nice set. Very just have fun. Like everyone was no yelling or any of that. No one was like rushed or it was very low key, chill. Just say anything. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, we actually talked to two people in that episode, Jim Meskimen, who played the MC, which was hilarious, and then Linda Montana, who played the older lady who sang in for her talent.
Yes, just believe, or whatever.
Yeah. I'm in love.
Oh, that's what it was.
or it's so good, so good, whatever it is, but
so good.
Yes. And I thought that both of them are so great, but I think that they both kind of were under the impression that, number one, if you do well and they like you, they'll bring you back, which it sounds like they wanted to. It just didn't work out. And number two is that like they do have the fun runs where you can kind of, do whatever you want to do, which can be very intimidating, especially around a queen like Amy Poehler.
Yeah, she was very, very professional. And I remember seeing her like over at craft service later and, just sitting in her little chair, little legs crossed with her script, going over her lines. And, I didn't bother or anything, but I definitely noticed she had a very, just kind and professional air about her when she was there. I did read her book later when it came out.
Oh my God, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's been through some interesting stuff, so she's got good stories.
Definitely. Did you have a fitting for all of the clothes, and like, did you have any say in the clothes that you wore? Or was it kind of just like, here's something a little bit short, so...
I did not have any say, I don't think. I mean, they may have asked like how you feel or if you can walk in it okay, sure. Those sorts of things. There was some definite fittings, and there was actually like with all the makeup and the white shorts too, we had to be a little bit careful. But they gave me a song and told me to practice the baton routine, and we're like, to just practice, just come up with something. And I was like, well, if I'm supposed to be bad at it, like, shouldn't I not practice?
Right.
So that's what I did. I just showed up and they're like, okay, so what part of the song are you ready for? And I'm like, just start it wherever. I'm good. I'm just going to be bad.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Well, so did they tell you not to twirl it, or was that kind of just you?
Well, it's kind of just me. They just told me to not do it well. So.
I love that.
That's amazing though, because Amy Poehler has that, or Leslie has that line of like, she's not even twirling it. Like, she's not doing anything with it.
Nope.
Oh man,
that is amazing. I
think
love
I dropped
that
it
kind
a
of
couple
stuff.
times.
Oh my God, that is so good. Well, and I love how Tom's like dancing to it. He's like moving his hands back and forth.
Yeah, everybody's got their own audience.
Yep.
Absolutely. I also have this burning question. It's so dumb,
sure.
But at the end when you guys take a shot, do you remember what that was? Was it just like apple juice or something? I know it was a long time ago.
I don't know if it was in the script. I didn't remember. I didn't know I was going to do that. If it was in the script, I didn't read it all the way through.
Oh.
That was just kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to do a closing part here real quick. And I think it was like juice, like maybe apple juice or something.
Sure.
But yeah, it was definitely not alcohol.
Oh my God, that is so funny. Did you get to talk to her at all? What is her name? The Jessica Wicks, right? Mm-hmm. Is the sweetest lady?
Yes. We chatted. Yeah, I can't say recall like what we talked about or anything. She was very, very sweet. Like as sweet as she is on camera, she was that sweet in person. So everyone there was very, very pleasant. So I'm fortunate.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, Maddie, did you have any other questions about the show?
I had a question.
Or this episode, I guess?
I had a question just in regards to, which I know we kind of skimmed over it, and you said you were like recent to LA. But was that your first chance to do improv? Was that like when they said just say stuff? Was that your first improv ever?
It was.
That's impressive.
I mean,
very impressive.
I've done like a lot of plays and a lot of theater and things like that, but it wasn't like improv, which after that I went and took myself to Upright Citizens Brigade and took a couple classes.
Nice. Right.
I was like, if this is a thing they do out here, I need to learn how to do it.
Yes. It's a very crazy skill and needed skill.
Yes. Just talk, just be yourself, just have fun.
Yeah. It's super fun once you get the hang of it. And by get the hang of it, I mean, you never really, I guess, I don't know, maybe you do master it, but it's more or less, not so much, to me anyways, about like getting it right or, whatever. It's just more about letting go of being perfect, Yeah,
it's the whole yes and, allow the person to create the reality and then heighten it by saying yes. And the sky is blue and full of elephants and they're falling right now, just whatever they're saying, that's the world. And you're just going to add to it. And, it helps you to feel like it's safe to have ideas, because if you're trying to improv with someone and they're like, oh, that's terrible, or, they're going to be scared to say ideas. So it teaches you to
stops
just
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also, like you said, once you have a character to really lock into, it's so much easier, I feel, to kind of get in their head and be like, what would she say at this point? And it just makes it so much not necessarily easier, but it flows a little bit more.
Yeah. Make a little more sense, a little more direction.
Yeah, totally. Well, and so you said that you kind of moved there for like Star Trek goals. How long were you pursuing things until Parks and Rec?
A couple of years. I think Parks and Rec was like 2008 or 9. I moved there like end of 2006, 2007.
Okay.
So I was just there for a couple of years. I think I was just an extra for like the first like 6 months.
Yeah. Totally.
And then I did the whole like the mass mailing thing of just sending headshots out to everybody. And I had done some stuff before, just I hosted like a little show for like, it was like a home makeover type show. And so I had done a few things here and there before I got out there. So I made myself a little resume and sent it out to a bunch of people, and one of them called me back and started getting me things that I won't be able to get on my own, and it kind of went from there. After a couple of years of pursuing acting, it's very busy and it's hard to do technically in LA because the infrastructure of the city is no longer accessible. There's no parking anywhere. It's hours to drive 5 miles sometimes. So just the lifestyle of it, it was a lot to try to deal with when I wasn't really in it. And I had loved stage and theater acting. And I was very surprised when I moved to LA how choppy the acting is. It's like, say this line, stop, say that line, stop. So I was really struggling with like whether or not I even wanted to do it in the first place. So that on top of the just lifestyle of having to be always on call and always busy and I'm going to do this, then I'm not, or that just got to be a bit much. And then I found the observatory and I was like, I'm going to do this now.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's, it's all about the hustle there, I feel. And if you don't have some sort of balance or some sort of something else to kind of hang your hat on apart from acting or auditioning or whatever, it can be a dark circle, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's not much control. I mean, I know this is probably dark for your guys' podcast.
No,
is
I
so
want
light
the
and fun.
darkness.
I hope not. You can cut this out. That's fine.
No, I'm not cutting it. I love it. I can already tell. I love it.
But, yeah, it's not a lot of control acting. You know, it's say this line, I wrote it for you. Wear this outfit, I picked it out. Kiss this person, I cast them. Slap that person, I decided that's it. There's not a lot of control in your life, and you know that's something that isn't for everybody.
Sure.
You know, you might love acting and you might love films and TV, but if you're not willing to give up that much of your own opinions, then it might not be worth sitting in traffic all day over.
Oh, right. Totally. Well, were you studying theater and things before you moved there? Was that something that you kind of did beforehand? Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, always. I've always been involved in church plays. I grew up a preacher's kid.
Okay.
Yes, to make it worse, why not? Okay, a homeschool preacher's kid.
That's great.
Love it. Breeding ground for nerds. I get it. I'm here with you.
I had no choice. So I did the whole church plays. That was like my outlet. That was my salvation. I hate to sound like blasphemy, but
no, I love it. It's great.
It was. I saw a side of art and just recreation and things that I just fell in love with. And when I went to college, I was on every drama team and every play I could find. And it's a wonderful, just the community too, building the sets and tearing them down at the end. And I like the whole aspect of the actual production, which actually between acting and the observatory, I coordinated commercials for 3 years. So I got to really do the hard part.
Totally.
So that was another just great experience. I did a lot of things when I was in LA that everyone told me, like, you're going to ruin your career if you do this. You're going to, don't do that. You can't turn this film down, because if you turn this down, then a lot of people telling me I have to do things. And I will say, I don't regret a single thing I've ever said no to. Yeah. As many times as they were like, you have to do this part, I don't regret saying no to anything. So
that's a great lesson. And I feel like, well, we've talked about this on the podcast too a little bit, where as actors or musicians or, anything really artistic, you are trained to say yes to everything because it's exposure and it's opportunity and, X, Y, or Z. But there's such power in no, not only for, your own, I guess, morality, but also just for your sanity. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I think once you stop looking at it as like, I have to do this because if I don't, then that means I'm not productive, I think it shifts a lot.
Or I'm failing.
Yeah. Right.
That's how I view it sometimes. Like if somebody's like, do this gig and I'm like, I can't, even though I can't, I can't say no because
Right.
then I'm not going to be successful, right? So
no is your best friend. I will tell you, like, I mean, for me, it was. It's not going to be the same for everyone, but because, you know, when you go into an audition, if your heart's not in the job of it, if it's not in like, I really want this, and you just tell yourself you do, you're not going to book things. And then you're going to think it's because I'm not good enough or because, you know, but actually the fact is that you were furious with having to be in traffic for 2 hours and then not have a parking spot. It's not because you weren't good. It's because that's not actually what you wanted to do. And, you know, I'm so fortunate to have realized that. And I just put it out there. I was like, I told my Dungeons and Dragons group. I just told them, I was like, so I think I'm going to quit the acting thing. If anyone hears of a production assistant job, let me know. And one of my friend's girlfriends was a lighting lady. And she was like, she told him that they're needing another assistant. So I came in and I started being a production assistant for a few months. And then the coordinator left to another job. And so I became their coordinator. And you know, it was more fun than any acting job that I could have had. I learned more and got to actually play the characters in real life.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think that that's so important. Like once you learn what you actually want to do and stop kind of fighting it, like what you thought that you wanted to do or something, you know, what you thought the right path was, I think everything just opens up a little bit more. But so, okay, so that you were first a PA and then you moved into coordinator. What are the differences with those two things? I'm very curious.
Mostly paperwork.
Okay. You're kind of the first crew member, I guess, we've talked to.
that's cool. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. If you all are doing the acting thing, even if you're still pursuing acting, if you just, you know, work a couple of jobs as a production assistant or whatever, it's fantastic. As far as just really understanding a set and seeing people that are holding the lights as, oh, you know, that's Tom, you know, not that's some guy in my face that I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would be very interesting to go back to it now with an understanding of production. I haven't really tried since you know, the past while, but it was a good experience.
Yeah.
So I think Leslie Knope would approve.
Yeah,
Yes,
totally. She's such a coordinator.
I wonder all the time. Oh, go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
Oh, I wonder, like, because like Leslie Knope, her opinion of Trish was not the best.
Sure.
And, you know, she was right in thinking that, but like, I just would love to meet her. I would love to be like, hi, I'm April. Would you like to come to the observatory? I would love to give you a tour.
I would too.
I would love to do that.
Oh my God. I think that she'd be so open to it.
Well, you let me know if you track her down and tag her on everything. And she gets
Literally. Okay. She doesn't have Instagram, but she does have, she has her company, Amy Poehler Smart Girls. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Which was actually it was very critical in my decision actually to study, because I remember like seeing that role and how it was portrayed and just the other things that I was going out for and being like, this isn't the person that I want to be. I don't know if this is a person I want to pretend to be for the rest of my career. And I remember seeing, she came out with Smart Girls. It wasn't during the time of the beauty pageant. I think it was a little bit after. And I remember seeing it and just having so much respect for her. And she would go around to different girls and interview, you know, smart girls doing smart things about what they were doing. And I was like, that's really interesting. I really want to like, you know, be able to do something like that. And she actually, as Amy Poehler, really inspired me to kind of just embrace the smart aspect of things in coordination with her opinion of Trish. I was like, okay, I got to figure some things out.
That's amazing. So tell me about the pivot, though, from not acting into doing more of the studying and more of the observatory kind of thing. Like, was there kind of a moment, or was it more of a gradual, you know, shift? Or was it more of like, okay, this thing just happened, I got to stop, you know?
It was definitely gradual. It was just, I just wanted to have a little bit of control over my life.
Yeah.
You know, and it was definitely gradual. It was, I knew I wanted to do something else before I knew what that something else was. You know, I'm sure in your branding classes, they talked about like, what do you enjoy just, you know, outside of that, like what kind of things? So I really just started exploring those kind of things more. And, you know, when you stop auditioning so much, you have time to go to those lectures and those classes and, you know, watch those documentaries and things like that. If you can tune out everyone telling you you're going to ruin your career.
Oh my God. And the thing about it is that no one else really knows what they're doing either. So they don't know that you're ruining your career. Also, also like, what if your career wants to change? Get out of my face.
Yeah, which career? I don't know what my career is going to be. Which career?
Right.
I feel like there's no perfect equation, right? Like
Absolutely.
everybody's path is going to be different, so you can't really know.
Yeah. Everybody's doing their own thing. I do have an application in to be a NASA Solar System ambassador.
Oh my God.
So, what?
We'll see.
What is
Tell me about
that?
that. Yeah, what is that?
So basically, I would host events. I would do 4 events a year, and they would be in the community, like, hey, come look through my telescope and I'll teach you all about the moon. So I wrote like 4 event proposals and I sent it in, and they'll kind of decide in December, it sounds like. So,
oh my God.
So we'll see.
Yes, we will keep our fingers
so
crossed
cool.
for that. You'll have to let us know.
I'll get it eventually.
Yeah, totally. Okay, wait. So you're acting, you're doing the acting thing. You did The Office, Parks and Rec, and then gradually you're just like, okay, I want to have some more control in my life. And so then you start doing is that when you start taking the lectures, or is that when you start leading tours, or did it coincide with each other, or which was first?
No, I had to study for quite a while. You have to actually pass an astronomy test before you can even, work there. So
wow.
I had little flashcards. I took myself to the observatory and I'd write down like, the Milky Way is, the moon is, just like all the different things. And I would like look at my little flashcards and read them and stuff. I still forget things quite a bit just because I didn't have that set of information, when I was growing up. I had a hard time in school. Yeah. So it's all new education. So sometimes those things are a bit of a struggle, but it was definitely a shift. Okay.
And did you go into the classes knowing that you wanted to lead tours, or was it more of like, I just want to kind of learn right now?
I really I didn't think I could lead tours. I applied at the observatory 5 times before I got the job.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So 4 of those times, or actually 3 of those times, I applied to be, they call them APSAs. It's basically like a watered down security guard. Like you help people, you stand by the corner, you tell them where the bathrooms are. I thought that's what I was capable of. So I applied a bunch of times to try to do that. And I never got called in. And I was like, you know what? I give my friends tours. Like I would bring people up and show them around because at that point I kind of learned about it. So family would come in town, I'd take them there. And so I was like, I'm not getting this job as, one of the APSAs. I'll just give it a try. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah.
And I got an interview. It's not an audition in real life. It's called an interview.
I call interviews auditions all of the time. I mean, it basically is. So who are we kidding?
Yeah. So
what was the interview like? Did they ask you kind of like what your knowledge was about it, or was it more of just your interest?
Both. They ask you like why you want the job, and they leave you in a room by, you have like a 3-page astronomy test. You got to fill them out, and then they look at your test in front of you. And if you have any questions or any mistakes, they like kind of point them out. And, as long as you don't do too bad, they kind of progress into like situational interviewing. Like, there's a father and a son, and the father is trying to tell the son, it's 2,000 years old. What do you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, I would probably just leave them alone because unless they're asking me, I'm not really gonna, and they were like, that's a good answer. Yep.
You're like,
not
Pop
gonna stir this
actually,
pot.
It's not. So you're wrong.
Yeah. So a little bit of acting background helped with that interview. And I actually asked that I got to meet the curator. The last part of the interview was to meet the curator. And
wow.
I asked her, I said, what's the most important part for the guides to you? Like, what is the most important about our job? And she said, just love the people. People don't get to take time out of their day very often to come to an observatory and think about where they are on Earth or in the universe. So this is their opportunity to learn about their home. So just show them love. Wow. And that answer was like, yes, I can do that.
Yes.
I love that.
That's so cool. So then how long are you still doing that? Is that something that you are still pursuing?
I mostly do it virtually, just like with the school program and things like that. I'm not able to give tours since I'm not there, but as soon as I make it back, I'll pick that aspect of it back up. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Was it all like I guess my first question is, how long did you do that / have you been doing it? And secondly, did you move to Kansas for the pandemic, or what was that whole thing like for you?
I've moved around.
If you don't mind my asking.
No. I was in California for a little over 10 years.
Okay.
And 5 of that was acting. 5 of that was, science, observatory, studying, or coordinating. A few of that was coordinating. Then the last of it was the observatory.
Coordinating the commercials, right?
Yeah, I was acting and then coordinating commercials and then the observatory. It was kind of the order of the careers. And then after 10 years, I moved to where my family lives just to kind of, spend some time. I have a very large family.
Sure.
So I just kind of spent some time with them. And right when I was ready to come back, COVID hit. So I did not quite make it back just yet, but I will probably be there when my lease is up here. So
sure. It's tough, especially with LA. I mean, it's just so saturated with people, and not everyone. You'd think that, in a liberal town like LA, we'd be fine, but not everyone wants to do masks or vaccines. So it's hard to open back up.
Yeah, it definitely is. I sympathize with the people who are there right now. So
yeah.
Be safe and get vaccinated.
Totally. Well, okay, but tell us also about Fangirl Academy. I'm very interested in this whole thing because, first of all, is it still operating and everything?
Yeah. Right now I'm focusing on just answering people's science questions. I have some really lovely questions. What is light pollution?
Sure.
Just wonderful questions like that. Can we go to space using balloons? Things like that. So that's awesome. I'm really just focusing right now on dedicating the channel to, if someone asks me something, I'll put together some research and a nice little video to answer it. Because the channel was originally started when I was wanting the whole more control of my life thing.
Sure.
I wanted to learn what the other side of the camera felt like. So me and a couple of my friends, we just started going to conventions and setting up interviews and, as people, if you ask them nice enough, they'll jump on with you. They'll do it. So I got to meet a lot of the Star Trek actors and interview them and things like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Really, really nice people. So that was sort of the start of like, I really like this. And that actually really helped with getting my production job because my friend, the lighting lady, was able to be like, hey, so I have this friend, she used to be an actor, but she's doing like this channel now. So do you want to bring her in and give her a try? So those kind of coincided. I did a lot of Fangirl Academy when I was also coordinating commercials.
Okay.
So that kind of started.
Is mostly just the channel for YouTube. Is there any other thing that's associated with it?
There's a Facebook.
That's right.
I have an Etsy account.
No way.
Yeah. I make outer space jewelry.
Oh my God. I'm going to link all of that in our show notes.
Sure. Why not?
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a wonderful way to be like, I'm going to film what I want to film and put it up there. And that was a great way to go about it. I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, right now I'm just focusing on, I have like 4 questions left. And then unless more come in, I'm just going to wait.
Okay. So was that kind of the whole premise of the channel, was for people to write in questions and you are creating videos to answer them? Or is that how that started?
It started as like the premise of just, honestly, it was a place to learn about things. You go to conventions and you go to things and, you're this, young girl who's, somewhat attractive, and you're not really seen as like a, here, let me teach you things.
Like a serious candidate to know things. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few vibes that come along with it that I wasn't really into. So
sure.
I was like, but the second you have a microphone and a camera, oh my gosh, people have respect for you. And they're just like, sure. It was amazing. I started with just taking pictures, and like I borrowed like some big clunky Canon. And the way I felt going places, because I'd go to these lectures by myself. I didn't have any friends at the time that were into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if I had my camera with me and I was there, I was like, I don't know. I felt like I was there with a buddy or for a purpose or something. Having that camera just kind of flip the tables of like how people treat you and how I treated myself. I also chopped off my hair and stopped wearing a lot of makeup. That definitely helped. Yeah.
Love it. So much easier to take care of business in the morning time when you have less hair and less makeup. Oh my God. Can't even tell you.
No extensions or crazy nails or.
Yeah. Well, was that something that you felt like you needed to do primarily for acting, or was that something that was kind of, that I feel like no matter if you're an actor or not, a lot of people, and women especially, but feel like they need to kind of put on a mask or put on a face first. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That definitely was something. It was something that I didn't know that there was a benefit to being another way. Unfortunately, I didn't know how nice it was or that people would treat you differently. I didn't realize that. But I remember the first time I was out, I had short hair and my glasses on, and this lady like asked me what time it was or something. She was with her husband, and I was like, "You're talking to me?" Oh, okay. Yeah, you're treating me like a person. So,
how did they used to treat you?
Well,
or how did you portray or perceive them treating you?
I presented myself as a product. So that's definitely a result of a lot of that.
I just resonate so deeply with that.
Yes.
Yes. Interesting.
So it was, yeah. I had to go from being a product to being a producer, and whether it's producing Fangirl Academy or a job at a place I love, or, whatever, maybe it's outer space jewelry, I had to take myself out of the I'm a product mindset. And it was a good choice.
Got it. And for this Fangirl Academy, I'm assuming and that you're probably doing most of the like editing and filming and kind of all that stuff. Was that something that you were interested in before, or was that something that you just got into because of this channel?
I was definitely interested in it before, but I didn't feel like I had the capability of learning it. I was interested in it, but it was something that, other people got to do and they did. And I was the person that got shuffled around from the car to the makeup room to the set. And I always would like linger around, when it wasn't my scene, and try to watch what people were doing. And, just kind of, I was interested in it very much. And the channel was just a way for me to learn. It was a way for me to learn without pressure of like, the network is depending on you.
Yes.
So, and I had a couple of friends who were, interested in making their own things and doing it as well. So, they're off doing their own things at this time. That was 10 years ago. That was quite a while ago. And it's just kind of something that's still around every once in a while. If I have some time, I'll try to throw in a question or answer a question, or just something that I feel is worth, putting out my time into out there. 'Cause it is just my channel. I don't, fund it in any way other than my extra time. So
right. Well, and I feel like nowadays, I mean, if you're an actor, you've got to know how to do that stuff anyways, just because of self-taping now, because everything's virtual. But also, I think it can not only be, it's one of those things, right, where art is both professional, but also it's a nice hobby to have. So like if that was something, like you said, it's not something that you're funding or getting a ton of money for or anything. It's just kind of fun, but it's a nice thing to know, I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It makes you feel in a little more control. And now I understand like why I was cut out of things, because sometimes you have to cut great scenes or parts that are interesting in order for something to meet the deadline time, or, so I started to understand like the being recast as Miss Sweetums, those kind of things were hard to process, and learning editing and learning producing, it made a lot more sense. Totally. And I understand it now.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about being an extra, where you're like, if you don't know someone else's job, or if you don't know what it's like to at least be around them or have respect for them, then you don't quite understand why things might be the way they are. Yeah. So that's really helpful, I feel, for you to have seen that and the editing. Yeah,
it was good. It was a good transition. I've definitely learned, and I had a friend who was a little bit older, and he used to always say like, I could never be an actor because I'm too old, and I'm too this or whatever. And I was like, are there people on TV older than you?
Like, that's a great point.
Are there, like, then stop it, like and fortunately I'm so glad with all the streaming services that are coming out right now that allow people to give shows and leading roles to people who wouldn't have normally otherwise, because they're fascinating, they're interesting, they're wonderful, and they're real. And so I'm very grateful to see how, media and film has progressed to just, you're just a person. That's all you need to be. You just need to be a person who feels good about yourself, or, can make it there. And, it's nice. It's a nice change.
Totally. Well, and that's something that I'm finding, especially in my life as I get older, for sure. But just in general, I feel like, especially as actors, but just in general, like I say, being in the world, there's just no room or time for self-doubt anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it just wastes so much effing time. And especially as an actor, if you go in kind of presenting yourself to the best of your ability, and if you don't get a job, it's not because you were awful, like you were saying. It's just because you're not right. And it's not like there's no need for a self-doubt or self-deprecation, involved with it, because it's just like there's no room for it anymore. It's just like there's too much space being filled with other stuff that could be better, or we could be helping other people or answering questions for Fangirl Academy or or tweeting at April Eden to get on our podcast.
Yeah.
So, is that friend of yours, like, does he want to pursue acting at all in real life?
I'm not sure.
I
think that was just an excuse.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. I'll let you know.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. Yeah.
So I know that you ladies like your research.
Yes.
So I did a little bit about that question that Amy asked me about Alexis Tokovich called America the Great Experiment. So I looked that up. And actually, Alexis Tokovich did not say that.
Oh, really?
What he said was that America was a land being built on a new foundation, meaning democracy and the majority of the people. He was actually quite upset with it being called an experiment because he felt that undermined the attempt to normalize change in structure. He was trying to be like, this is a new foundation. It's a new way of doing things. He wasn't trying to instill a feeling of this might not work out.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to get people to think that like you're being experimented on. And if I were to answer Leslie's question again,
love it, say it, do it.
I would definitely say that Alexis Tokovich actually said that America was a land built on a new foundation because he wanted people to understand that there were new ways of doing things. And the fact that was a question in a beauty pageant really highlights what we can do to make America better, which is to be more aware of misinformation.
Yeah.
And, biases and translations, and be aware of word choices that inflict fear or panic in people instead of opportunity and hope. Because right now it's like this party or that party, and all the party has to do is convince the other people about a thing or that the other person is bad. What I think would be great is if we had like a ranked voting system, which would truly represent the majority more so than just this person or that person, because with it just being this candidate or that candidate, without it being a ranked system, all people have to do is pour out misinformation.
Well, what do you mean by ranked? Like the candidates would be ranked?
No, like you would vote. This is my first choice for president. This is my second choice. This is my third choice.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That way, it would truly represent, and maybe a third party candidate might actually have a shot that way, because if enough people vote for them, in their ranking, they might actually have a shot in the ability to bring in some new ideas of equality and, inclusion and things of that nature, because otherwise it's just people capitalizing on fear. Be scared of the immigrants, be scared of other people. And that's not actually what Alexis Tokovich was wanting to convey. He was wanting to convey, like, this is a new foundation for doing things. So,
yeah. And I mean, that's something that, that's totally something that Hamilton talks about too. And, not to like make it be about the musical, but there's, truth in that as well. But no, because Hamilton says that in the musical, that's one of his lines is like, America, you great unfinished experiment / symphony, unfinished symphony situation. But no, I think that the perspective is different as well. And I think it's so funny actually that after we recorded that episode, the beauty pageant episode, my sister who studied political science, who's been on the show a couple times, pulled out that book from her because she has it. And I think Alexis de Tocqueville, I want to say. Okay, either way, Alexis,
sure.
his first name.
Alexis.
We'll do that in the recap moment for the next episode or whatever. But yeah, it was a very massive volume. But that's interesting that you did the research and found out kind of formulated your own opinion. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that was a very strong opinions that she was putting out into the world. And I just kind of wanted to look it up a little bit and be like, what did they mean? And I guess it was, it's in a lot of books. It's translated that way. I think some of the newer translations did change that.
Because he was French, correct, I think?
Yeah, he was French. Yeah, I think he was like a liaison here. He was only here for a little while, but he was trying to just sort of, it was called, I think, Democracy in America was the book. just kind of to show what this new foundation that America was being built on. The majority gets to vote for their leaders. Oh my goodness. Like that wasn't, that common back then. It was like, we're going to rule and you have to listen. Yeah,
absolutely. No, completely different way of life, especially, having come from France and England where it's a king in the end, it's a monarchy and you have no say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would totally make sense as to like why he was, kind of a proponent for change and for experimenting with, actually having the people be in charge of their leaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that, I mean, to I guess the beauty pageant credit, it is a loaded question. And if you didn't study the government, which I'm sure you are told to kind of do that in more, maybe like a little bit of a higher ranking pageant, perhaps with the more coaches. Intellectual government political questions, things like that. But if, you weren't told to do that, then I'm not sure you'd have the right answer. Obviously, it would probably, or not right, but like an informed answer. Yeah. But, I'm sure that hopefully people would have a little bit better than answer than Trish.
Hopefully.
The land of the free and the home
is a wonderful thing.
It's our America, not their America.
Their America. That line
they make us say, I tell you.
Oh my God. That's amazing though about you having improvised some of those lines. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Did you get to talk to any of the other contestants at all? Like whether that be craft services or anything?
Yeah. I don't remember her. It might have been, I think Jessica was the other lady. The little lady who played Susan. She had the same agent as I did.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, she was very nice. I'd run into her here and there at auditions and things. So yeah, she was a pretty nice girl.
Yeah, love that. And how long would you say that you were on set? Because that was pretty much the whole episode was the beauty pageant. So
I think it was just a couple of days. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was just a couple days, 2 or 3 at the most.
Okay. Cool. I love that. Well, is there anything else that we can maybe promote for you, or how do you ask questions? Do you want questions to Fangirl Academy?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm very interested in questions about the science of sci-fi. So if someone wants to know, like, how does Iron Man fly, or how does a transporter work? Any of those kind of questions. That way I can keep it kind of fangirl-esque, but still science.
Yeah.
So, and any of those, send them my way.
Oh my gosh. Like Star Wars questions too, I'm guessing?
Yep. Any of it. So send them my way. If I don't have the answer, I am very, very fortunate at this time in my life to be able to reach out to someone else. Like there's a lot of it that, time mechanics and things like that. I would divert to, one of my more learned friends to answer, but they would do it. I've already had a couple say, you let me know if you get one. And
So, well, would you say that you've made I guess a larger community with when you started at the observatory, your friends might have changed a little bit with your interests?
Completely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because, what you're interested in talking about, matters, and the people you keep around you, you want them to be interested in talking about the same thing. So, I like talking about acting as like a craft and a form, and like Uta Hagen's book and Respect for Acting and, all of that. But, I love, just the science of things and learning about that and finding people and seeing them at different, events and stuff. It's a whole community, and they're very welcoming. It's one of the first communities I've found where you can ask a question and they love it. They're like, oh my gosh, you don't know that? Okay, let me tell you.
Yes.
Instead of you don't know who so-and-so is.
I love that so much. There's this meme actually, Chris, who we've had on our show, does a lot of Nerdwire stuff, or she used to. I don't know if she does anymore. I don't think she does anymore. But what she posted a meme one time that was like, now what do we do with nerds? And you think that the next comic strip is going to say something mean, and then they all are crowding around a book, and it's like, we learn from them. And I loved it. I think it was so sweet and perfect, because that's how I've thought my entire life. I'm like, well, if I don't know something or if it's interesting, I feel like a lot of it is, like you said, jealousy / or fear of the unknown kind of thing. So I think that's great that, you're also fostering a community of asking questions, which is so important, because so many kids, I feel, are kind of shunned or made to feel embarrassed to ask a question, especially in front of people. So this is a really nice opportunity, I feel.
Yeah, questions are the best thing that you can say. I think they're wonderful. I'm always willing to listen to someone's question and answer it if I can, because there's a lot of ways to empower yourself in things that you thought were so far above you for a long time. Even with the citizen science projects that NASA has available, there's literally a citizen science project where you can sit at home and look at images of cameras in the woods and tell the computer if there's an animal in it or not.
Wow, interesting.
A NASA citizen science project. Yes, it's an animal. What kind of animal? A furry animal or a furry animal? What kind of
Yeah.
Tell it thing. And then there's also ones where you can like confirm if, an asteroid is in the same frame as another one. You're like helping machine learning learn better. So like, the are you a robot things about where's the stop sign? Yeah. So you're basically doing that for NASA to help, Earth to flourish a little bit better. So they can learn, what animals look like, to confirm for their AI and machine learning. So you can take part of that. You don't have to be really good at a computer or have a telescope. You can just go to nasa.com/citizen science. And there's like a dozen little, icons, you can look at the clouds and take pictures of it and confirm the coverage from the satellite image. They're looking for people, like they take a picture from space looking down, and then they also want citizen scientists to take pictures from Earth looking up, and then they compare them and, look at densities and things. So there's a lot of different levels for science that isn't just, studying math and, time and all of that.
This is elaborate. I did not know they were doing this. This is really cool.
Totally. Yeah. Google Earth always snapping pics.
Yeah. They're always
That's watching. A wolf. That's a bear.
Right. Do you have a favorite type of science though? Like a favorite type of, or is it, or like a different, like astronomy, is that a favorite? Or like AI? I know that may be a weird question.
It's really shifting to more environmental science. I've become really interested and somewhat concerned about just the whole global warming and the water crisis, and seeing things that are happening. And, this plays in with Trish too, seeing things that are happening in other countries and the reasons for immigration. Yes. And to, not only allow these people a safe place, but to also recognize why they're fleeing, what's happening in their countries. And a lot of times the countries these people are fleeing from are countries that we're exploiting. Yeah. I'm sorry, 100%. I'm probably going to get you your first bad review, but
no, please. 100%. I'm here for it. No, you're absolutely right. If it was a bad review, then that's because I'm speaking truth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's what we're saying. So
it's true. So, just becoming aware of like what's happening in other places that don't have, fresh water, and it doesn't even have to be another country. It can be parts of this one, in Flint, the water situation that wasn't so much climate as it was just poor science and ruling.
Right.
But, that's definitely become a new interest. I haven't quite found like my environmental science observatory yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm interested in that too, if you find one, because can I just tell you, so I actually went to Mexico last month, and I scuba dived for the first time and snorkeled a lot more than I've ever had in my whole life. And I swear it's a whole planet in the ocean. And it was one of the things where, first of all, it made me really kind of second guess eating all meats, like not just chicken and beef and stuff, but also all like seafoods. But it also made me think about how humans just don't know enough about it, especially citizens. Like obviously scientists are studying it every day and everything, but like, I just don't feel like we know enough about it, and that lack of knowledge makes us not care, therefore like not care about the plastic that's being thrown in there, or not care about why things are becoming extinct, and how that affects us, because I think that that's something that might be lacking with, as selfish as it sounds, I think that's one of the reasons why people do stuff is like, well, how does this affect me really, you know? And so I think a lot of people are like, well, how does putting trash or whatever in the ocean really affect me? How is the fish that are dying really affect me, kind of thing? And so I think if we could find some more research or, a way to make that a little bit more relatable, it would make such a difference to the citizens of the world with like the plastic that we do use and the recycling processes and things like that. So I'm definitely interested in that as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you had that experience of travel that helped you to see that and appreciate that. And that's
so true. That was a privilege in and of itself.
Yeah, that's really, traveling is so great. And that's part of why I, have changed so much in my careers, is because I have been fortunate enough to travel and know that this place might be a little bit different and I can go here and try this, and just appreciating our world. And it's absolutely beautiful if you get out there in it. And if you look at it, and to see some of the beauty being lost because we don't think it affects us, that's only a matter of time.
Right. Right.
That's coming. That's only a matter of time. So, if it has to be about, it affecting us. And I know in a lot of cases it does. I struggle with that just in my personal life, about trying to communicate the importance when someone hasn't traveled and hasn't seen, George Takei of Star Trek. Yeah. Encourages people to look at diversity as delightful and as a wonderful thing.
Sure.
Not just like biodiversity, but ethnic diversity as well, to take pleasure and joy in differences, and to see how they can contribute. What new ideas and what solutions have they thought of because of the things they've been exposed to that I may not have thought of. So just embracing differences in land and people, for the sake of like contributing to making something better. So, but if you don't travel, it's hard to get there.
It's hard. Yeah. Or if you don't, I know it sounds like silly because on our Zoom with our laptops, but if you don't have the access to internet or a computer, or like to even just see videos that might be around. Nowadays that's kind of few and far between, just because kids these days have iPhones when they're 3 years old. But regardless, like that's still a privilege. And there are people that don't have that access to even do their, due diligence. So it's very interesting to me. And how it all really, as the Lion King says, is really just such a circle of life, not killing, not eating things, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Maddie, did you have any other questions before I let April go?
I just had one, because I am definitely not anywhere near in love with like science and stuff to the point where you are, but I did a science experiment when I was a first grader, and I built the solar system, and I was so excited about it. I wanted to learn everything about the planets. And then I just looked at it and I was like, I could never do that. I would never make it going to space. Like I could never go up in that, like in an enclosed space and do that. So I wanted to ask, with your love of everything, is that something, if NASA called you and they were like, we want to send you up to the moon, what would you say?
If NASA called me, they want to send me up to the moon, I would go, but it's nothing I would pursue independently.
Okay. Gotcha.
But if they called, I'm not going to say no to them.
Right. That's fair. That's a fair answer. Yes.
Yes. I would also want to know like how and why, because like there is a lot of like, the space tourism thing, and like, why are we doing this when there's all these things? And there is a lot of things involved with the politics of like, should we even be going to space?
Yeah.
Fortunately, there's the aspect of we're trying to learn how to mine on the moon. So if it's to develop moon mining so we can stop stripping our planet of, metals and things like that, yeah, I would support that cause.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, in that sense, I don't know enough about it, but like, if we're mining the moon, are we going to make the moon as bad as the Earth?
It's already pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
The thing with space and with like the moon and asteroids specifically, is a lot of the minerals that we mine on Earth, like for our new cell phones and computers that we're talking to each other on, a lot of those minerals come very diluted in other minerals. So the refining process is incredibly toxic. So going to space to mine those things, we're able to get them in a much purer form. So we don't have to, radiate villages and things like that for it. But in the meantime, simple things that we can all do, if your phone is still working, don't necessarily get a new one, just little things, they're just starting to be aware of things, recycling. I know a lot of like Best Buy or I'm not sure what all electronic stores, a lot of them will let you bring in, your computers and old electronics to recycle them to get some of those rare earth metals out. So they don't have to go through the process of refining them again.
Yeah, I think Apple actually does that as well. I've definitely, well, I don't know know what exactly they used it for, but I've turned in my iPad because I never used my iPad, and I was like, I don't need this. So I think that they might have just wiped it and then like refurbished it situation, but they also recycle. I know that they do that. So maybe they might have done that too. But that's a good idea. Because, I mean, and you think of it as an inconvenience, but I feel like there's a lot of places that, at least when I was researching it, where like if you sign up and you tell them your address, they'll send you a label and you can just send it to them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to become very big as rare earth metals become harder to, get and trade for. It's going to become a bigger deal. So supporting electronic recycling and things like that is going to be probably part of something we'll see in the next 10 years or so, I would say.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Awesome. Well, April, oh my gosh, we just cannot even believe it. Thank you so much for being here and for responding to my crazy, communications and correspondence.
Yeah. I have one quick question for Maddie. Maddie, I'm very curious, when you were doing your solar system, did you have a favorite planet?
Jupiter.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Hardcore. And as a 6-year-old, I'm assuming it was because of the pretty color.
Right.
I did do research on each planet, but I don't know. I think that one seemed far enough away from us that it still was super mysterious and really cool.
Yeah.
I really liked that one. Like,
did you also resonate with Sailor Jupiter on Sailor Moon?
I've never heard of that.
Have you seen it through a telescope? Have you been able to look at Jupiter through a telescope before?
So actually, my fiance, for our 1-year anniversary, he took me up to the Lowell Observatory up in Flagstaff, Arizona, where they actually discovered Pluto. And I am hashtag Pluto as a planet, my heart, because when I did my solar system, Pluto was a planet. And so now you've just messed up my entire view of what the solar system was when they were like, it's not a planet. I was like, it is though.
It's a dwarf planet.
Yes. So I'm like, tell me what you want to tell me, but in my heart, Pluto's a planet. But I have a very soft spot for that observatory because that's where we went for our anniversary, but also because I love Pluto. And they had, the night we went there, they had 2 telescopes, one where you could see the moon really well, and then one that was pointing Jupiter. So it was really good timing. And he didn't know that was my favorite planet, but I was just like, this is so perfect. This is amazing. Yeah. So,
the moon and Jupiter. Yeah, Jupiter is actually my favorite planet too.
Awesome! That's so cool.
So one of the reasons I like Jupiter, the colors, again, like you said, it's so beautiful. And it's so mysterious because that thick cloud layer, we can't actually get past it to see what is the core of Jupiter, what's it like in there. So we don't actually know past some of those clouds exactly. We don't know for sure. But not only that, Jupiter has a moon called Europa that is an ocean moon covered in ice that we think if we break through that ice, there might be a little microbial or planktony type life. Because if you look at the very, very bottom of our ocean where there's no sunlight and people thought nothing could live, there's all these creatures living off of the chemosynthesis, the energy coming from our planet. And those same conditions are on this moon around Jupiter. So when you look at Jupiter, think space fish.
Yes. That's so cool.
So it might be the first discovery of alien life or extraterrestrial life. There's missions planned to start the drilling process to break down through that ice and stick a little, camera or something to see if there's little things swimming around or not. So people talk about, life in other solar systems or other galaxies or whatever. And we might find it on an ocean world around Jupiter or an ocean moon around Jupiter. So.
Oh, I'm following that so hard. That's awesome.
Jupiter was actually... Jupiter was the first planet that confirmed that the Earth isn't the center of the universe. Jupiter has the 4 Galilean moons that are circling around it. And Galileo was like, wait, if these moons are going around Jupiter, then maybe everything isn't going around the Earth. And that really helped us to realize maybe we're not the center of everything. Right. So Jupiter has a lot of good reasons to be someone's favorite planet.
I'm going to add those to my pretty colors bullet points now.
That's so awesome. I am so happy that you asked that question.
I love it when people like space but don't think that they could do it, because I know that you just haven't found the right thing. You're going to be a scientist or a citizen scientist someday.
Totally. Well, I love that. That's a great reminder that, anyone can be interested or anyone can learn about this and contribute, however, even if it's just, reading about it or spreading the word.
Yeah. If you think you can't do it, but you enjoy it, just do it anyway. I applied 5 times before I got that job.
Yeah, seriously. See, this is why this conversation worked, because we're all very persistent, it sounds like.
Probably. Talent recognizes talent. I see it.
Okay, this is really making me wonder what my favorite planet is, so I'm going to have to do some research and get back to you.
Okay,
it sounds like Jupiter's
yeah.
in the running, so...
Okay.
Jupiter's pretty cool. You might like Neptune. Yeah. I don't know why I feel like you're a Neptune girl, but I feel it.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Wrong.
Neptune might be the one that rains diamonds.
That sounds very queenly to me.
Yes. I'm about it. I called that. Let's just say that, okay? If it is your favorite planet, I called it, and great.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, April, is there anything else that we can like promote for you, or that you wanted to ask or talk about?
You did a very thorough job. It was a lot of fun. I just want to encourage people, if they see Trish, to just realize the meaning behind the role and what it was supposed to highlight and represent, and know that I do not agree with her in any way whatsoever.
April is not Trish.
Right, exactly.
Yes. And I think that diversity and welcoming people who are trying to escape, difficult situations is actually the true wonderful thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk to you and get a little bit more of the behind the scenes of who you are and what you love to do, and, see all these different layers to you. You're so cool.
Me too. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for thinking of me and reaching out 5 times.
I am happy to do it. Well, keep us posted on that NASA job, and we will be rooting for you all the way, and all of our fans that are listening will definitely be doing that too.
And you let me know when you decide on a favorite planet.
Oh, I will. I will, girl. I'll keep you posted.
Live long and prosper, ladies.
Yay! Oh, wait. I just learned to do that. Bye, April.
Bye.
Thank you.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Yay! That was April Eden. Oh my God.
What a time. I think that honestly was one of our deepest conversations with a guest, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And we got to talk about different topics and stuff. I really liked that.
RJ is saying hello to you.
Hi, RJ.
Little baby.
Your aunt misses you and would like to meet you soon.
I know. Yeah, April was a treat. I really like her. I think that it's awesome that she was like having kind of some, talking. I just really appreciated her talking about her pivots in life, and also like talking about how she was pursuing what she really loves to do. But also just like I learned a lot, I feel.
Yeah, and her like, I'm not gonna listen to you guys. So what if it screws over my career? I'm not saying yes to something if it's not gonna, add to my life personally.
Right. Right.
I have a lot of respect for that, because I think that's so hard to do in the industry.
Me too. Yeah. And I think it's like so true about, finding kind of what you really want to do, and that there's no shade to anyone who, wants to remain in something that you don't particularly like. It's just like, it might not be for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, so I'll link everything in the show notes as far as she talked about the NASA website, the citizen scientist situation. And then I'll also go ahead and link not only her YouTube that you can ask questions called Fangirl Academy, but also I will link the Griffith Observatory website, because I'm sure they've got a lot of resources on there as well. And if you're in LA and you've got the opportunity and they have open tours or open things, there's a museum in there as well. I've been there a handful of times as well when I was over there, and it's super cool. It's so cool. So I highly recommend going there. And if you're going to go on a weekend, get there early, because the parking is a little bit of a trickiness moment. So I'll link all that information in there. And then I don't care if I don't see her in it. I mean, I'm going to keep my eye out for it, obviously, but I still want to go watch Star Trek, because I don't remember
100%.
watching that one. I think I did, but I just don't remember it. So
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I totally want to watch it. Also, everyone should comment on our posts or our podcasts and tell us what your favorite planet is.
Yeah, that is a great idea. I'd love to know. And I'll definitely, by the time I post something about that, I will have picked a favorite planet. Maybe it's Neptune. Who's to say?
Maybe.
But anyway, okay, well, if you've listened so far, thank you so much. Thank you for all your continued reviews. If there's any other guests besides Ben Schwartz that you want me to get on the podcast, please let me know, and I will do my best. I think that is so hilarious that she talked about how much I tried to get her on. You guys, see, I'm working. I am working.
Shame.
No shame.
No shame, Holly.
We
got to talk to her. It was worth it.
Yeah, no regrets. And she was super sweet. And it's all about how you approach it. If I was like mean all of those 5 times, or if I was just like kind of shitty and all about my own views, I feel like it might have been different. She would have just ignored me. 100%. But I was like, I was straight up like so passionate and been like, will you please talk to us?
Yeah.
So anyways, well, thank you, April, so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Rate, review, subscribe. Anything else you want to say, Maddie?
No, look forward to the next episode, which is the setup. And it sounds like we might have another special guest with us.
Yay! All right, guys. Well, have a good week, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.